recording. Welcome to your third or fourth podcast. All right, Zach?
Yeah.
Who's counting?
Right.
Welcome to our studio. You have your brother here, Jacob Stewart with Stewart Ranch Services. And then we have Capree Green here with Branded. Yes. And Capree, she is she does all the posts and all the ads. So we're going to talk about that and how those all integrate together. The mixture of good content versus pay to play and how all that works. So today we're going to talk about your new big excavator, correct?
Absolutely.
And we haven't named it, even though Capri and I are putting some pressure on you to name it. But still, it's the Beast.
It could be an old lady name, like Jeremiah. He names all his trucks old lady names, so they'll be nice to him.
Yeah.
We probably should get on that.
Yes.
We really probably should.
Definitely the CMI needs to name them.
Just going by our conversations and the way that, well, Jacob went to the store to get this part and that. And so maybe if we start talking real sweet to him.
Yeah.
What's your grandma's name?
Jarita.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not going to name it after your own grandma. Because we eventually want her.
We may need to try that method, though. That may work.
Yeah. And if it starts working, we'll be like, well.
I'm telling you, there's something about it.
That's Sonia.
He did that for his horses, too, when he trained horses.
Oh,
he named them all old lady names so they'd be gentle.
That is good. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so you have the big Beast. How has that changed the way that y'all clear land and do business?
So we're still doing things the same way. We can come in and do the forestry mulching by itself or just the grubbing with the excavator by itself. And we're seeing a lot more in the production. We went from a 20,000-pound machine to a 43,000-pound machine. So it's a lot bigger, and it's got a lot more weight behind it. I'm not having to dig out around the trees near as much. We were up in Montague the other day, and I had over 30 trees taken out in 30 minutes. And,
wow.
We were really blessed with the moisture in the ground. That really helps. That's the best time to clear land when we're doing it that way.
I didn't know that. It seems like it would be more difficult. It
not,
kind of gets bogged down.
Not directly after it rains, because then it's, muddy and everything else. But after there's a little bit of rain in the ground, it does help a lot.
Those roots are soaking up that water. The ground's a lot softer. I really didn't have to dig any of them. I just pushed them on over, moved them aside for Jacob, and he came and mulched them. And we did that because that's where his shop's going to go. So we didn't want to leave any stumps, or we dug out as much of the roots as we could. That way he can build on a solid foundation there.
Okay. Was this the same land that Capri and I went out to, or a different one?
This is a different one.
A different one. Did it have the rocks?
It does have a lot of rocks.
Is most of Montague County like that, or just the
area? A lot
area?
of Bowie and Montague, and pretty much a lot of the jobs we get around here, they got rock.
Oh, goodness. Because the job that we went to, you're having to work all hammers. Or no, all carbides.
Yeah, that's really what they call them.
All carbides, no blades. Yep. Because you like to use the blades when you can, because it breaks all the pieces up and the land is just ready to use. But because of these big rocks, you're just having to use the carbides, and so there's it's still clear, but you just have bigger pieces of mulch. Left behind.
It takes more time to process it. It takes it longer to get it all kind of fined up and everything. So not a fan.
Not a fan.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
We notice a big difference. And the small material, no. But when you start getting into trees, that are 10, 12. You guys have seen we do trees that are a lot bigger than that. But even on the 10 to 12 inch, Jacob's come up to me and said, man, can you pull this aside or do something so we can get out of this and get the knives back on? Because you notice a huge difference in the production. Yeah,
and just the speed and the quality of the whole deal. What was it like getting to know this machine? Well, how many machines did you go through before that this was like, okay, this is the one I'm going to use?
We've had the New Holland, Cat 299. We've had the other machine, the Lamb Track. And we had the CMI. So I guess that's 4 of them before we got there? 4. We had the John Deere too. Yeah. But we had the CMI too.
We don't like to talk about that.
We don't talk about that.
The CMI is beyond any of them.
Right.
Yeah, so much better.
Even the other dedicated mulching unit that we had.
The skid steers, we've had the low flow and the high flow. Low flow is not the way to go at all for a mulching unit because it doesn't have the power for it.
Right.
The high flow, it has some power, but it's really smaller stuff, smaller to medium. But even when you get up to the medium stuff, it doesn't have the power to continue to just keep processing that stuff. And then when we had the other dedicated unit, it still didn't quite have that power. It was supposed to be kind of comparable, but it wasn't really. And when we got this one, it's the first time I got in, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is what this is about.
Yeah. And that's what really sets you apart. I mean, the Beast is it's cool and it's big and it saves time, but this machine is really what sets you apart in the area. There's no one that we know of that can just clear trees like this in the way that you do.
Well, we're not limited on the tree size. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said in the previous, you guys have seen us take some really big trees. And if that's necessary, we can do it in an efficient manner to where, 30-inch plus we've taken down before, Jacob. Yep. I mean, we've taken several that are standing that are over 24 inches. And then Jacob gets the stump flush with the ground, and then we'll invite the customer, hey, try to find the stump.
Oh, wow.
And it's a challenge because he focuses that much on trying to make sure get it flush to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate for somebody to run out there on their side-by-side or their truck or whatever and bump along and hit a stump. So I try to get that as flush as I possibly can.
Right. Or there may be a little dirt covering it, and then after a big rain, just have like a huge stump.
Right, yeah, and that's definitely not what we want.
Yes.
That's why we always make sure to meet with the customer, talk about the goals of the property, because if they are wanting to, do a lot of that stuff and use the land, for different things, we may not want to leave a stump. So we will have the excavator to bring it out, fall the tree, pull it aside, and then mulch the whole tree and the root ball with no haul off.
Right. And that's something that you do with all your clients. You're going to walk the land with them to make sure that's what they want. So
Absolutely.
There's been a couple times when people are like, oh, no, go ahead and do it. And you said, no, we...
No, it just doesn't work out because, we know how to clear land and we know how to make stuff look good, but it may not be their vision. And we want to make sure their vision matches our work. So we actually try to get the customer to be out there while we're doing the job. And it's not they have to be out there the whole day, but hey, at least come in the morning and then come back and we can kind of help selectively clear with them because we run into it a lot. We always recommend taking the cedars out. They're invasive. They take a lot of water. They spread very fast. And we have several customers, no, don't touch the cedars. That's okay. If that's what they want, then that's okay. But that's not our recommendation. But it all comes down to it's their land, and we want to do it how they want.
Yes,
so.
yes. But a lot of times you have to talk them into, because they have this vision. Like that one lady, she wanted 2 acres of farming land for her dad.
Yeah.
And you took her out there. Hey, you have an acre already, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. So a lot of times you're consulting them. Like, hey, I understand your vision, but this is the limitation of our machines, or here's our opinion on this. So
Absolutely.
it's kinda like
and,
collaborative.
we'll kind of take a conservative approach when we come in and clear land, and we take all the dead trees, clustered trees, invasive trees, and then kind of open it up to let them see what the potential is. And then we'll say, hey, here's what we recommend. Is that kind of on par with what you were thinking? And Jacob, how many times have you danced around a tree? They said, oh, we want to save it.
A bunch. There's been plenty of times where people, they tell us, oh, leave this type of tree or, do this a certain way, and then I'll dance around it all day long. I call it putting on my ballerina shoes because I got to constantly be paying attention, watching my video and backing up and make sure I'm dodging the trees and just skirting around everything. And then we get through, and it's like, well, let's go ahead and take that one out and that one out. It's like, could have left my shoes at home. We would have decided that.
Could have done a lot
Well,
more
and it
faster.
does slow down the process a little bit
Yes.
because, Jacob, is a very experienced operator. He does have a backup camera where he can see in there, but sometimes, you have just enough space where that bumper is almost touching the tree.
Right.
So where if we could have just taken that out, we could have just went and gone. We do a lot of selective clearing, so we're pretty experienced when it comes down to dancing around and saving trees.
Yes.
But I also love how time efficient you guys are without losing any quality. Like how fast you can get things done with these especially with the new machines.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's insane how, what was it that I just posted, like 6 acres in 2.5 days?
Yeah.
Or it was 6 and then plus 10 more.
Well, we're picking up.
And
We're
then-
going to go back and do the 10 more.
Yes.
Like next week or something out there
Right.
in Graham. And that one was a challenge, wouldn't you say, Jacob?
Yes, because it had a lot of, I guess, true cedars is what I think they are. I'm not a tree expert. I'm not an arborist. Trying to learn as much as I can about them, but around here we get a lot of the people call them junipers, and it's mainly one solid trunk going up and down, and then has a lot of branches on them and everything. The ones we had out there in Graham were just a ton of just offshoots going everywhere.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it was a lot of material that had to be processed.
Wow.
So if you could think of like an octopus and then turn it upside down,
Yeah.
that's how that was. The center was here,
Yeah.
and then
Wow.
it just had a bunch of,
Cool.
and it was a challenge to get up
To
to those.
still be
and-
able to take it down in that amount of time, that's pretty
lot.
impressive.
And,
I think that's so impressive.
She definitely didn't know, and we weren't quite sure how many oaks that were really there. And if you guys, as you've seen in the picture, there was a lot of oaks that
So many.
he was able to uncover, not damage. And on that job, she just told us make it look beautiful. You know, she gave us free reins. You know, and we still
Yeah.
checked with her throughout the process, but she didn't really give us much direction on what she wanted. She
Wow.
just said make it look beautiful, and we knew what that meant. So.
And you
Yes.
did.
That's
And she was
awesome.
happy enough to, turn us on to another section, and then after we finish that one, we'll do more. So,
Oh,
Yes.
good. And that's how
Yay.
we've seen that pattern with your clients because you're so great to work with, and
well, and
they're
how we
like,
cater
"Okay."
it to them, it's kind of hard for them to be upset at the end because we're going to do exactly what they want,
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes that may require more time.
Yeah.
And we'll explain that to them. Hey, if this is exactly what you want, it is going to take a little bit of time. What are you thinking? Make sure it matches up with what we're saying.
Yeah, and like that one of the last ones that Capri and I joined you on, you were clearing the pond so he could see it from the road, which was just logistically. I'm just blown away because I'm worried about the machine going in the mud.
Oh, yeah.
Or the trees falling into the water, and then you have to bring the excavator out.
I was thinking
and-
Jacob getting caught in the machine while it like turns over in the pond.
Yes,
like oh,
yes,
he's gonna drown.
I know.
But that was steep.
Really
that pond
steep.
was really
So
steep.
we did two of them there. The first one, it was pretty bad. And it was really bad on closer to the water. And I asked Jacob, I said, hey, do you think you can get the mulcher over here and get this cleaned up to at least where I can get the excavator to sit on top of it? And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. And I went to take the semi somewhere with my dad, and I came back. It was less than 2 hours. He had it to where I could get up there.
Wow.
But it was so steep, like you were saying, on the backside, he couldn't ride down the back, and there was trees on the back. So he made it to where I could get in there with the excavator and remove all that.
Yes.
And then we widened that pond dam out
Yes.
quite a bit and really took that slope down. And then on the other one, I just went with the excavator and started yanking and just moving dirt. We took that one down about 3 foot and widened it out quite a bit.
That's a lot.
But if we didn't have
So
both
pretty,
machines,
though.
that wouldn't be possible.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
no. And that's, I see, just on Facebook Marketplace, sometimes people will suggest companies for land clearing or what you're doing. And in my mind, I'm thinking, without even bashing that company, I'm like, they don't have the machines to do that.
Yeah.
They're not qualified to do that.
Well,
I kind of want to think. Do you know what it takes?
I know, already know. As much as
You know
we've
what
learned
this
in the
takes?
last few months, we're like,
Well, this is probably going to hurt some feelings, but if, someone owns a skid steer and they say they're a land clearing company, that's not the case. They may
yes,
be able to
thank
clear
you for saying
lots.
that.
Yeah.
They may be able to clear lots, but we're a true land clearing company where we can come in
Yes.
and grub it or mulch it. We're not limited on what we can do. And we've went through several machines and had a lot of experience to get to this point to be able to truly know that.
Man. So what is it going to be like? So now Dad's joining the team. So team of two, everything's working great. They're getting along, no big fights that we've seen. But here come your dad's going to be
dad.
in there. So first, he has the CDL. So you're also going to add large hauling services
Yeah,
to this,
yes.
correct? So what all is the new truck going to offer?
We can haul equipment, whether it starts and runs or it's dead, because we do have a winch on the truck. So as long as we can either enable the tracks or put whatever it is in neutral, we can actually winch that up onto our 35-ton trailer.
Okay.
Materials, steel pipe, building for houses. Pretty much if it's safe and we have a way to get it on our trailer, we'll haul it.
Okay.
So,
And this name has stuck. We're going to name this one Gold Dog.
yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
And is the Gold Dog on there yet? Are we ready for photos?
working
Not
on
yet.
it. We're
Okay.
Oh my God, that was
We're,
beautiful.
yes,
Gold Dog.
we're going to be working on photos. Capri, what has this been like with ads and just learning about the company and posting, what has really taken off, or as far as like, what's working?
Yes. So I love that Zach is willing to work like hand in hand with us. He always has such great content and will let us know when he's close by and we can go get, our own content and then just all the information about what he's doing on each project. Mm-hmm. And so when you have all that and the pictures that go with that hand in hand and do a post about it, I mean, it's so easy to sell and market because, I mean, the engagement on it is great. I mean, and then you throw money behind it for an ad.
Right, which they understand,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a monthly budget and, but if you want to pay to get these bids and get them out there with your good post, the mixture of the two just ends up being more business.
Right. And we just met before this podcast, like 30 minutes before this podcast, and talked about that, what's going on with Facebook, now, during this time, and it is so flooded. Like, just in our area, I mean, Zach sees on Facebook everyone trying to just come out and, like you said, get an excavator or something and try to start their own business. Mm-hmm. And they're just, making accounts and trying to get, people on Facebook. And like with Jeremiah, so many people are wanting to start their own welding business and do it themselves. And so it's like, how do you get your service, your product seen above everyone else? And it just, you got to pay to play the game.
Yeah.
You really do. And
content.
it's
such a good team.
Yes.
effort.
It's definitely, you got to be willing to work hand in hand with your marketer and be on the same page. And you need what's fresh, what's new, what's relevant. And Zach understands that. And then I have a couple other clients that I'm working with that are really starting to see that and understand that. But they're seeing the amount of return they're seeing is awesome. Yeah. And the amount of reach and people like seeing their brand and recognizing their services and just planting that seed in people's minds. So when a need comes up, they're like, oh wait, I remember that Stewart Ranch Services. Because what's happening in Facebook now, because the market is so flooded and Facebook is so flooded, it's just a couple little posts a week. I hate to say that, but it's just not going to do it. Not if you're wanting to keep your business relevant, that's fine, or just keep it going. But if you're wanting and ready to take your business to the next level, which Zach and I had talked about, like the next level, not just keeping busy, you definitely have to pay to play the game. And sometimes it is a risk, but we have just seen, we've seen so much success from it. And so we're really going to start pushing ads. And I'm talking like 300 for an ad continually. Yeah. I mean, like people spending a couple grand on ads, but if the return's 30 to 50 grand a month, I know. It's nothing. It's like change in your pocket. And so, but anyway, so we are starting to see a lot of success, and he's having people reach out to him that he's like, I didn't even know we were targeting that area, or someone from Crum. It's like, how did they see that?
We've never got anything from
They've never got anything from Crum. And it was like, I'm assuming a pretty large job, but
pretty good.
Yeah. And then just some different areas for some different services, not just like land clearing and stuff. So I'm
when we
really
first
excited.
started, Zach admitted, like, this is saturated. Thanks to COVID and everything that's happened, everyone has a big machine and everyone claims to use it, but we're different, and we're going to show people why
that's
we're
what
different.
we market.
And for me, it's not a risk. I don't see it as a risk because all I have to do is get in front of them, show them our methods, and that we are a family-owned company and that we are going to care for their land as if it was our own. So I don't see it as a risk, because we're going to get the return on investment every single time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because even if it's not from ads, that person's going to tell all their neighbors about them, or about you, and if they see someone struggling with a pile. Like, hey, Zach, you need to go check out my neighbor.
Yeah. I mean, and I love that. So I love that confidence. Is like,
we talked about that before. We're on pile patrol. Anytime we see a pile in Wise County, we're like, who owns that?
Yeah. Snap a picture.
We know people that can pick that up.
Send it to Zach. Do you know this?
Yeah.
But so it's been great, and I love that, and that he trusts me, and we work,
the posts
work well
are so much better than when I was doing them. I was really good about saying, here's a description of the job, but I didn't always put in the family stuff and, the very professionalism like Capree does.
Or
you notice a
the
difference.
picture with Jacob fishing.
Yeah, I would have never thought about that. Yeah.
To use your writing skills to tie in
That was
fishing
fun.
to what
Yeah.
he does is just beautiful. And people don't think that when they're like, I'm just going to get a machine and I'm going to put some stuff on Facebook. And you got to put the personalities behind it.
Yep.
And-
Well, sometimes I can get a little too mushy or sentimental, so you gotta like
No, I
tell
don't
me
think
my.
so. I think it's been
And
great.
then I realized I'm using like what's it called
First
first person, like your words, and then I'm like, well, I've done it this far, so
Yeah.
and
No,
I do it to all my
I'm
accounts, and
happy
I
with
tell
all
them,
of it.
I'm like, guys, just tell me if it's a little too.
No,
Yeah.
because I've
But-
noticed on some of the other companies that are running the ads, they'll put a picture of their machine and land management and this and that. and
Yawn.
You do see
Yeah.
comments and stuff like
Boring.
that on there, but with what we're doing, trying to show
Yes.
the difference in our machines is really going to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, and,
And-
we said it is called Facebook
Yeah.
for a reason. No
Yeah.
one wants to see a picture of a machine.
Right.
That's boring.
And this is a
That's
family,
boring.
just like your company, just like Crown Fabrication, this is a family owned business.
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone's going to know Dad, whether he likes it or not.
Sorry, Dad. I will just go and sneak behind him.
Go ahead and say we probably
Pictures.
will get him on a podcast eventually. Since he's not listening to this, right? He's not
Will he
even
go back and
listening?
listen?
He watches
get-
them. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
he watches them.
we'll get him on here. I'm
We're really
determined.
nice.
And it does work. Like I didn't want to do podcasts when we first started, but people listen. Like when we were at that demolition job up in Bowie after the tornado.
Yeah.
The guy with the dump truck, he had watched the podcast.
Yes, that was
The
fun.
homeowner had watched the podcast. And it was just like,
I love
oh,
it.
people really do.
And I think it's great for what
much.
we're trying to do because as the average customer, and you guys know it just as well as the customers, these machines that we use, you knew nothing about them before I approached you
Nothing.
about coming on.
Nothing.
You know,
Yeah, I wouldn't even know
um,
the name of
And
the machine.
that's the biggest thing that we run into is it's not always the price. It's, hey, let us show you what we can do for you. Because there are a lot of people who do price by day on this type of work. So if you're not comparing apples to apples
Yep.
and they're not telling you that, well, you're really going to spend a lot more money in the long
Yes.
run. Or not get the product that you're looking for.
Correct. And the majority of the time, you bid by project.
We can either
correct?
do it by the project or
By
if
the day, or-
certain cases where there is a lot of rock or we can't really access the land or there's just a lot of variables. We'll do it by the day. We do like to give a price by the job though.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes you'll work on something and the machine will have an issue, or you'll have to clear a vine.
Well,
or-
even on the price by day, we're not gonna hold that against them. If we've got something going on with our machine, okay, stop, and we're gonna come
Yeah.
back and give them make sure they get the full day.
or you're working, it starts raining halfway through the day. You're not going to be like, oh, well.
Yeah,
there's
and that's
that.
why I try to plan, and I really look at the weather.
Yeah,
If I
true.
think it's going to rain that day, we'll probably just cancel because it's not worth it for the customer or ourselves
Yeah.
to go out there, get halfway through it, and then,
Have to
hey, you
follow
got to
it.
come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
just not
gas
right.
prices.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
You know.
fun, right? You enjoying those?
Well, we're actually trying to, really keep our costs down. I just pre-purchased 500 gallons of
Oh,
diesel.
wow.
Because they're saying it's really going to skyrocket. Well, if you're not doing something like that, I don't know how you can't really hike up your prices because that's a big direct cost for us is fuel.
Yes, indeed.
And then also another direct cost would be obviously maintenance. Like on the CMI that Jacob runs, just the undercarriage, the tracks that support that, it's about 20,000 when it goes out, and it's rated for about 1,000 to 1,500 hours.
Wow.
To where you're not going to see that on a skid steer. They don't, they're just not having to put that much money into them. And it really just comes down to a purpose-built machine. That's all it's designed to do is forestry mulch. So,
We haven't been lucky enough to see any when we're out there, but they run into snakes sometimes. And I love snakes. So every time we go out, especially the one by the ponds, I was like, oh, I'm going to see a snake today.
That's
I'm
where I
definitely
killed that
going
one.
to see
Yeah.
a snake.
Early or late? Which one was it? We did see the snake.
We showed
no,
up
that
late.
was, they came late. I seen it in the
Yeah.
morning.
But that was a copperhead, right?
It
I
was,
think it was a diamondback water snake.
Or a diamondback. Oh.
Well, see, Jacob is nice enough to take the time to try to figure out what the snake is. Zach just kills it.
Yeah, I
He's
don't-
like, there
unless
are no...
it's like a garden snake or like a chicken snake. No, you can kind of realize pretty quick what that is. But if I'm not sure, I'm not taking any chances because once it's out of your sight,
Yeah.
you don't know.
true.
And I've seen a lot of my buddies where they'll be working or whatever, and that snake starts to crawl up the boom.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be
Or
hard.
like, what if it like just wraps around the cage and you can't open the door?
Yeah, I'm good.
Be like,
Yeah,
oh,
you know.
this is a bad day. Make
Yeah.
sure we're there to film it or call us. So we can...
Hey, I'm trapped in the
Don't
machine.
get
Get
out.
over
Capri
here.
and Marie, I'm stuck. Come
Stay
film it
there.
first,
We'll
and then
be
come
on our
home.
way. Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good content right there.
That is.
Yeah.
I know. My sons love snakes. We have a new pet snake, Charlie, in
I
the
seen
chicken
that.
coop.
Yeah,
He's huge, but it's a rat snake, so he's welcome to stay. And we do not have any mouse problem now because
There you
we were
go.
like infested in our well house, and
Oh,
we were
yeah.
setting traps, and it stunk. Oh god, there was species everywhere. Ugh, and we have no problems
Now
now.
you have a
So
snake.
Charlie gets to stay.
Oh, well,
So he
good.
can have a chicken egg or two every now and then, and he's
Uh-huh.
good. And he does not mess with the chickens. He's huge.
And did you
though.
see her picture? She was working.
That's
and she
the one
had
I
the
seen.
pet
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the one. Okay,
That's
crawling
the one I
across
seen.
her
That is the
laptop.
one
I
that
was
yes.
thinking,
we
no,
really like
I'm
That's
good.
Priscilla.
You
Oh
didn't
my
like that
goodness.
one?
I'm good.
So your next podcast, you don't want us to bring the snake?
I think it'll be all right.
She's sweet. She
Oh,
she is
we
very
should bring
sweet.
the snake.
Yeah,
during-
she's now,
Maybe not yours.
Elvis is a little more shy, but she loves to be held. It's
She's
crazy.
so
She's
beautiful.
sweet.
But anyway,
But-
well, we've enjoyed going from knowing nothing about land clearing to
Yes.
every time we go on a job, we learn something. And we've seen you interact with the homeowners, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We just love watching you interact with them because you're just so respectful, and both of you're just so nice. You just know you're going to take care of their property. Because some people get out there and they just go. They don't
Yeah.
care what the homeowner
No,
thinks,
yeah.
and I've seen that.
Yeah, we talked about that
personally.
too. It's like they
You
don't
know?
care about quality, then they don't know what they're getting
Right.
themselves into.
Right.
You know,
We've heard that ourselves. We've had a customer over here right outside Decatur who he told us that we got the job over somebody else because he felt like they didn't really kind of walk through the process and talk about what they were going to do. And he was worried they were just going to completely clear everything, and it's not what he wanted. Where Zachary went out there, I think you actually went out there with
Yeah.
Alexis and Riley, and he had his
Aw.
family out there because
Right.
they were going to go do something else, but he was like, you know what, you brought your family out here, you talked with me the whole time and everything, and made sure that I was going to get what I want, and that's why you got the job.
And that's what he said. First
That's awesome.
impressions really meant a lot to him, and he said, it just really felt right because, we were posting the pictures that we do selective land clearing. We really don't like to come in and just clear cut it, especially if you have cattle, wildlife. We try to improve that stuff to make it better for them. Not, because if we take out all the trees for your cattle, man, it's hot out here.
It is.
Yes.
That makes
So-
me sad when I drive by a field and there's not one tree. And you got all those cows hugging the fence post, like, please.
oh, there's no
and-
ponds or anything.
Yeah.
We really
down
don't
in.
have customers that are looking for just come in and clear cut it. I'd say almost all of our customers have been, hey, we still want to utilize the trees, just make it better.
Right.
Whether it be pasture reclamation, land reclamation, whatever it may be, they still want to leave trees.
Yeah, and you're going to start working with more builders in the area. So our area is growing so fast, as people know and can see.
Gosh.
And
yeah.
so, they're going and buying large tracts of land. So you're going to start working with some more
Yeah,
builders.
we actually
here
got
and there.
one out in, it's Bowie, but it's a little bit outside of Bowie. It's 3 different tracks, and we're going to go in and cut in all the fence lines so they can put the fence up and stuff like that. And that's actually with Kaysen's partner company down there.
Oh, good.
Parker Properties with Bruce Ferguson.
Yeah.
His client's using us to do that. He does a lot of land development stuff. So
Ooh, we'll need to do a big ad for that one.
yeah.
I'll do that for sure.
So that'll be really good
That's
on
awesome.
that one. And the biggest thing for the builders that should attract them to us is our methods of how we can do it. If you do have a severely overgrown lot, we can come in wherever the house isn't going to be, come in with the mulcher, clean it up, get it down to a fine state where it'll naturally decompose on its own, but also where the house pad's going to be. We'll remove those trees. There's no haul off, no burning. Because as you guys know, we were in a burn ban for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
know,
we all
and
know
some parts
it's
are
going to
still in
happen
a burn
July
ban.
and August.
Yes.
Like
With the wind and everything else.
Oh,
yeah.
the wind.
No
know.
rain.
Wind will not stop.
But with the CMI, even if if there's a large tree in the middle of that house pad, it doesn't matter if they want to keep it or they don't want to keep it. It's got to go to be able to build that house. So having that CMI, really helps us get down the cost, because to haul a big tree off like that, it takes a lot of extra steps, to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah. One thing that I've liked observing your company is the dance between replacing equipment and bringing in new equipment, and just the whole cost analysis of all that. It's just incredible to watch. Well, we need something bigger, so we need to get rid of this one. And we're in these times where these machines are now investments. So instead of depreciating, there's been a couple times where you've even been able to make money, right? Like you've used it.
That's really what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, way before I ever did this, I would say I'm a horse trader by trade, really. I like buying, selling, and trading. So
you and Jeremiah would be best friends.
he actually sent me that auction coming up, and I drove by there today, and I'm gonna go to that one.
Really?
Yeah,
you should give him a call.
Yeah, he
we
told
should
me
go
about it,
together.
so I think I'm gonna go. I seen a nice gooseneck tilt in there. Oh gosh, this is
He
how it
loves
starts.
auctions.
Yeah,
A goose.
He
not-
comes up with an idea.
Is that
and
a
then
trailer?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
Yeah.
He even bought like a rundown old snow cone stand and wanted to fix it up, and he sold it to someone in Boyd and made money off of
well.
it. He just
Yeah.
it's stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, but I mean,
But he does. He
works.
always makes money off of it. That's
And
funny.
if you can buy and sell a car and make a profit now,
Yeah.
So why not? Why not? But y'all do a really. I can always tell when you're ready to buy something because you're like, motorcycle for sale.
yeah.
How's he gonna buy now? For sale.
Well, we try to reinvest every dime that we can back into the company, because it just makes us that much more efficient.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's taken us a little bit to get to this point where we've made enough money to reinvest back in. And how it all kind of started with the excavators, I had my father-in-law's machine out of my house doing some stuff, and there was a big tree, and I just went up to it and pushed it right over.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm like, yeah, this is the route we need to go. And I knew it was much more efficient than the machine that we had, but there's a lot more that goes with it. It's a bigger machine, so now you have to have oversized load permit, you have to have the semi, the correct trailer, and the timing all just kind of worked out when my dad came up here. So once we got him, I was like, all right, now I got to figure this out.
Right.
So
It's time. Jacob? What's been your favorite lakefront property to clear, or do you have one?
Probably that one we did over there by Selma Park.
for Rusty Bronner,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one. Oh, well, the one over there in
Rick Bailey was pretty good too.
yeah, Silver Lake. That one was pretty good.
Oh,
'cause
Is that the one at the
that was-
beach?
Yeah,
They had to,
Yes.
I thought
Zachary-
it
Oh
was
my
so awesome.
I really
gosh.
liked that one because Zachary kind of got sick about that time, so I had to go out there and handle it all myself. So I had to completely grub where he was going to put the house, and then I had my CMI out there, and I was able to mulch around and everything. And then he was getting better, and he came out there and did the beach that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And their
So
property
cool.
was perfect because it was just went out. It was a straight, nice, flat lot, but then it kind of dipped down, and there was
Kind
a bunch
of.
of rock, well, big time.
Kind of.
But
yeah.
you couldn't
Just a little drop.
really see that from like just the road. They get to enjoy the lakefront by themselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So cool.
So
Very
Such a cool
cool.
property.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. That's the before and afters. I love seeing those.
Yeah. But that was another one where I really worked with Rick on exactly what he wanted. Because after Zachary did some stuff on the beach and everything, he'd had to go out of there. And I went down there with the CMI and started mulching things. And I asked Rick, okay, well, what's your idea for down here? Because I knew what he wanted up front. And whenever we got down there, I was like, this is where you're going to be spending a lot of your time. What do you want? And he kind of told me. And then there was one particular tree that was kind of in the way, but it was going to be a good climbing tree. And he has grandkids and everything. So I was like, yeah, let's leave it. So we did. Well, we got done. And then I asked him again. I said, you sure about the tree? And he's like, it's kind of in the way. So we ended
It
up getting
came
rid
down.
of it.
Yeah.
But it made the lot so much better. But the only reason he was able to get that was because he was there with us and we talked
Correct.
about it and we were able to actually go through the whole process. I mean, at first he decided let's leave it, and then he actually seen the finished product. And he's like, it's going to look better. We get rid of it.
Yeah. We'll let another tree grow for
Yep.
a couple years for
And
example.
we're okay with that, coming back to it. It's not it has to be, a decision made right this second. You could spend a little bit of time and think on it, get with the other person that's involved with it too, to make sure, because once we take it out, It ain't
Yeah.
going back in.
Can't go.
You know,
Go back.
and that's also the same to speak as if you say, well, you know, I'm just not sure, we're not going to do it, and you don't want to call us back for just one tree. You know, we're here. Let's go ahead and get it taken care of.
Well, that was the other thing. He had a tree that was going to be like right on his house pad. He wanted to leave it because it was a nice, good tree. But I mean,
Shading the house.
it was like barely on the line, and he was trying to figure out how to do it. And he said, "Leave it, and you know, he'll handle it later if he needs to." And I told him, I said, "You know, we don't do it now. You're either have to call us back or get somebody else to do it. It's going to cost you more money." So we were able to take it out then and there, and he didn't. I think it cost him any more.
Yeah, that was good consulting.
Yep.
You know, you think one thing, but then when you start calculating, well, you have to come
Yeah.
back, and
I mean,
fuel
for one
and
tree,
another
I mean,
day.
it's still going to be several $100s for somebody to come out and do that because you right on the house bed, you got to get rid of the stump and everything. So it's not just cutting it down and going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Do you have your eyes on any machines besides the gooseneck, whatever you said,
No, I think we're good with what we got right now.
the beast?
Yeah, with the beast.
And we'll work on a name. We have to name the little CMI.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll
brainstorm
come
on
up
that
with something.
today. And so your dad, any other family members moving up to join the team?
Just
Not
about
yet.
everybody's pretty much moved up. We got my
Everybody's
parents, our granny, our two cousins moved up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I moved up, and then less than a year later, they all decided to follow.
Aw.
Goodness.
Uh-huh.
Goodness. Well, we're glad because it's a good family.
Yep.
Everyone we've met so far, we're really happy to have here in
Oh,
Wise
it's
County.
been great. Yeah.
Yep.
And we can teach these people about crawfish, right? Is it
Oh,
still
yeah.
season?
We
It's-
threw down this weekend.
You did.
We did about 90 pounds.
We're getting towards the end of the season.
I think
Are
I'll
y'all
probably-
going to open a restaurant soon? 'Cause this is
I was telling
you know?
Alexis, I think we should maybe do
I mean,
something
this
next
is
summer.
every weekend almost.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
I'll probably do it every weekend the rest of June.
Okay.
Just because once it's gone,
You ain't
That's
getting
it.
You can't.
know.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
can't.
I know,
You
and
can
we
only
are-
get it during the season.
Yeah, we're
like
working
even
on a social.
we did the 90 pounds on Saturday and stuff, and then we went in and played Chicken Foot, which is a game with
Oh, yeah, I
dominoes.
know
I was sitting there playing Chicken Foot, thinking, man, some more would really be good about right now.
Oh, man. Oh.
Well, we're trying to work on a social with us, you know, your
Mm-hmm.
company, hopefully Kason's company, maybe Crown,
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to get this network of people that we all know together. What
be
was the
great.
last date you said?
Just before the end of June.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's try to get it planned and get it going. Okay. Anything else you want to cover on today's episode?
Jacob, you've ran a lot of. I mean, when we first started forestry mulching, that's when Jacob came on.
Oh yeah.
You know, I did a lot of land stuff and dirt and concrete and stuff, but when we first got into the forestry mulching, that's when Jacob came on, and that's kind of what I put him to. That way we kind of learn it together, and it allowed me to be outside the machine and really observe what's going on because I really know how to run the machines. So it would allow me to help him better. You've ran the low flow, the high flow, and the dedicated. Maybe let's just talk about a little bit, you know, and what's the big difference in those.
Well, I mean, low flow to high flow, which is everybody's got the skid steer, is the high flow is going to have a lot more power, horsepower, hydraulic flow, and all that to be able to keep going. So if you know anything about those two, just think about from a low flow to a high flow, and then that gap, think from a high flow to a dedicated machine, and it's beyond even that.
Yeah.
Because they have 175 horsepower is what ours runs. What, 6,000 psi on the hydraulic flow, and what that is just whenever that machine goes into material, whenever it starts hitting, it'll start to slow down. But once it gets some of the material out of the way, it immediately starts
back
picking back
up.
up. So that allows us to be able to get those bigger trees.
Yeah.
And on our machine, it has the 4 different hydraulic pumps, whereas a skid steer, your 299s and stuff, they only have the one. And that one hydraulic pump runs your tracks, your arms, your tilt, and your mulcher. If you're working on an incline, that's a lot for that one hydraulic pump to keep up with. We've done jobs on the 299 that it just could not keep up, and it was miserable.
Yeah.
But the CMI has 4 different pumps. So it's got pumps for the tracks. That's all it runs. It has pumps for the arms and the functions and all that. And then it has one pump that runs strictly the mulcher
Wow.
so that it can keep on going.
And I know we've talked about this, but I was in shock. You turn the machine off, And that thing spun forever because you were going to sharpen the knives, and it wouldn't. I mean, just by itself, it runs for like minutes.
Yep.
It takes a very long
after you
time
shut
to
the
stop.
mulcher off,
Remember
Yeah.
seeing
the
it?
thing
It was
is
like
just-
yeah.
it's got the
I
force
got a
to just
video
keep
of
on
that.
going.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's anytime I got to do something with the knives or the teeth or whatever, I always have to shut it off and then go take care of something else real quick and then come back to it
Yeah,
because
it takes
it goes for a little bit.
long time.
And do you have to sharpen like during a job? Like stop it,
If
sharpen?
we're running the knives, which we prefer to, I always sharpen the knives before we start the job, and then halfway through the day, I'll sharpen them again.
Okay.
And that's just to maintain that edge, and also so that it doesn't take as long the next time.
Right.
And you
And
always
it's easier
want
on the equipment.
it's easier on the equipment. It's more productive. Somebody told me, one of our customers, I was explaining that process to him. He said, "Oh yeah, I completely understand that." He told me a story about two people going out in the woods and cutting a bunch of trees. He said one of them got 10 trees in 10 hours, but he worked all day long. The other one worked all day long, and then he would take a little break every hour or whatever. But he got 14 trees. And the moral of the story is, how did he get more trees? But he was taking a break, and the other guy wasn't. He was taking the time to sharpen his chainsaw, his knives, and getting his tools correct. And that's what we really try to do.
Yes, you do.
And even in the skid steers, that's what a lot of the competitors out here use. They're not all the same. With the low flow, I would, almost say it's useless. It really is. For the mulching
We can say that from
aspect.
experience.
Yeah, because we've ran them.
You tried it.
Yeah. For very small stuff, yes, it works. It doesn't provide the finish that we like, and it's just not near as efficient as a high flow machine. And the same thing to be said from the high flow machine to a dedicated machine, because the one thing you guys do know about the skid steers is they're very versatile. I mean, you can do a lot of different stuffs with them. They were really made for construction type, field.
Yeah, a field.
They're not made for forestry mulching. We found that out very quickly. You just end up working on them more than you do running them. Where with our machine, it's purpose built. It has the correct cooling capacity, because here in Texas with the skid steers, it gets so hot out in the summer. Well, if it can't keep it cool, you've got to stop
Right.
and let the machine cool off. And once it kind of gets to that certain point and it's hot, all the fluids in it are very hot. So it's very hard to get it to come back. And there are machines out there, ASV, that will keep the skid steers cool. But we've just found it makes a big difference on the dedicated unit.
Yeah.
And if
It's
our
impressive.
machine's not the right fit for the job, we're going to say that. Yes, it's a very big machine, and I think that's something that we need to make sure we let our customers know. Even though it's a big machine, we can still work very tight areas. Jacob can get right up next to a tree and get a little cedar right there and not damage the big one.
Like a little ballerina.
Yeah. And it does take
Knock
a
it
little
out.
bit more time because it is a big machine, and we really have to make sure we're watching, but there's not much that we can't do with
Yeah.
that machine.
To me, it's like a little tank bulldozer on steroids. Like it's so,
You nailed it. Yeah.
could not believe the amount of dirt and trees it would just like knock over.
Yeah.
And it's just, how much does that thing weigh?
So roughly 20,000.
Yeah, about 20,000.
Oh my gosh. That's
it's,
crazy.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah,
but-
it definitely.
But
stands
it
out.
doesn't really tear up the ground, because how we have to turn it and stuff to
Yeah.
keep the undercarriage in track is we do kind of what they call as a K-style turn, where we'll back up, come to a point, and then turn, versus where a skid steer, you can just 180 it.
Yeah.
But you
And
tear
it
up
really
the ground.
But you tear
digs
it up.
dirt up
Yeah,
big
it's
time.
twisting
And you
all
just
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
are like this.
Not only
Yeah.
am I don't want to tear up the ground on the customer's nice, beautiful front lawn, I also don't want to tear up my machine. So I'm
Right.
real careful about how I turn on all that.
Correct.
Smart.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Anything else for today? No. And next, we're gonna get Grandma in here, hopefully.
I think she's about to go to Ohio, so maybe when she gets back.
Okay.
but-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely want to get her in here.
That'll be a
and
sweet
well, really, the
podcast.
whole family.
Absolutely.
Maybe
all
your
the
dad would
kids
come
and
when she goes.
everyone.
My kids wanted to go to work with me today.
Aww.
Aw. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes it happens,
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
okay.
sometimes I do.
Yeah. We've paid them to pick up sticks after, we've done some mesquite clearing and stuff like that.
My 9-year-old, well, I guess he's 10 now, but he's working this summer.
Yeah.
He's learning.
Well, that's the
So
good
he
thing
is-
about that machine we got,
Yeah.
the CMI, is it has a very large cab. So not only is it nice and comfortable for me, but if the kids want to get in it, sometimes we'll do, kind of like a small job or something, and we're getting paid just to finish the job or something. I can put the kids in there, and they love just being
Oh, they
inside
love
That's
it.
really
Yeah.
cute photo.
on
Oh, my
very
gosh.
minimal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
yeah.
going on some crazy project.
Yeah. And do you have a good sound system in that thing?
It has a radio. It's it's a
it
2013,
Put a
14,
Bose
14.
system in there.
I know.
Yeah, it's a 2014, so it's it doesn't have the Bluetooth or the USB, and it just has the radio. So I usually turn on the ticket and listen to that.
Yep. Bob and Dan.
Yep.
Good old ticket. Good old ticket. Well, thank y'all so much for coming. And the Bird Band, I think we're just going to be in the Bird Band till, don't you think?
This summer.
I mean, look how much rain we've got.
I know.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not near enough.
July
And
It's
the
drying
winds-
out everything.
The wind is crazy, and that's
Yeah.
that's the killer right there. Is you start a fire thinking you're good early in the morning, that wind picks up, your fire ain't gone. It's about to be bigger.
Yes, I know. And it just never fails. It's just the wind will not.
Oh, we were doing crawfish this past Saturday, and we had a hard time just keeping our burner lit for the crawfish
Oh
because
my
the wind was
gosh.
crazy.
I know.
We'd have stuff on the table, and it was just blowing
know.
everything off.
You know,
Yeah,
we were
wind
out
was
at
crazy.
the lake, and my son took the jet ski all the way across, almost all the way across the lake, and he said it was great because the wind was at their back. And then they turned around and realized nobody else was on the lake. It's white capping.
Oh my
Saturday,
god.
there was
took-
a lot of people at Amy and G Carter on Saturday, and I
Yeah?
couldn't believe it.
Oh, that's
I
terrible.
thought about it. I was like, man, it feels
Was
really
it
good.
white capping out there?
Oh,
I didn't
really?
see it,
Oh,
but
yeah.
when I was going to Zachary's house
Yeah.
on Saturday morning, it felt great outside. It was nice and
Yeah,
cool and
yeah.
everything, and I was like, oh, today would be a good day. And then there was so many people at the docks, and we got out there to do the crawfish, and the wind picked up, and I thought about all those people, and was like, oh my god!
Oh, you
I
know
know what
it's
it's like to
white
be on a
capping.
lake whenever it's like that.
Oh,
It's
mm-mm.
not
That's
fun.
rough.
It's not fun.
Even
That's
yesterday,
rough.
I mean, I took the motorcycle to go do some bids and stuff, and I'm thinking, man, why did I do this?
Because I
The
know
wind
Michael
was-
complains that the wind's like it blew me over.
Oh, it'll push you around a
Oh,
little
it
bit.
will.
Yeah.
I always
trying to
worry
stay
about Michael on his
upright.
little scooter with 30 miles an
Yes.
hour blowing across the
Yeah, you
highway.
would not. No way.
Do you both have motorcycles?
Yes, yes, we do.
Okay,
Yeah,
so is that kind
we
of
got
your
that back into it too.
your
'cause-
fun time?
Yep.
That's what you do when you're not in the machines.
Well, I've kind of taken a break from the racing the dirt bikes and all that stuff,
Okay.
because
Thankfully.
Jacob needs me. So
Yeah, I don't need him getting
Yeah,
hurt. Our other
that life
brother's done it. He's
insurance.
been out, so put a hole in his leg.
yeah, so and I mean, racing dirt bikes is pretty dangerous,
It
especially
is.
going in the woods and doing some of the stuff we do. So
Oh my gosh, my
kind
husband.
of taking a break from that stuff. So I picked up the motorcycle to just. I mean, we just cruise around,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
back roads and
Yeah.
stuff. It's way too dangerous
There's
to
some
go
really
on the
pretty
highway
areas
and
around
stuff.
here too, or go towards St. Joe. It's like small little canyons.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
it's so
I bet
beautiful.
that's a good loop too.
Yes, it's so beautiful out there. That'd be a good ride.
My husband, he has a mountain bike, and they started doing some crazy jumps and some like
Yeah, that
purple
stuff's intense.
trails,
Yeah.
and I made him increase his insurance. 'Cause he does anesthesia, and I was like, if you break your hands, we'll starve. Now we have 2 kids in college. Oh my
Oh,
gosh! But they actually did back off a little bit with the crazy stunts because some of them were jumping like 15 feet. I'm like,
Oh
you're
my
40.
gosh,
You're
yeah.
in your 40s, y'all. Careful. Be careful. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and we look forward to the next one. And I love watching the business success.
Yes.
The combination
Fun.
between good posts, good ads, good community, good company. Like it's
Yeah,
really
I'd say
starting to pay
if,
off.
anything that comes with forestry mulching, land clearing,
Mm-hmm.
ponds, tanks, anything of that
Demolition.
nature. Demolition as well.
Drainage problems? Is that no?
We've kind of got away from that just because we're not in the skid steer stuff anymore.
yeah.
We do a lot of excavating with that
Mm-hmm.
machine. But, give us a call, and we're always willing to see if we can help. If we're not the right fit, I know someone who can.
Mm-hmm.
So if it just comes down to we come out there and meet with you and get a new contact, that's all right by us. So
Mm-hmm.
any of those services, we've got them covered, though.
Yeah. And you're also one of the few that have proper demolition tools, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that big machine can really...
When it's got the thumb too.
Yeah. I wouldn't ever put myself or anyone that would work with us in a skid steer to do demolition. It's very dangerous. It can come back on you. So I would say, yeah, we definitely have the proper equipment. The big difference in that big machine versus the smaller machine is I can crunch it up a lot more now. So I can fit a lot more in that roll off, you know, and they charge by the weight. So you're not necessarily saving as much, you know, but you are when we don't have to buy another can, you know, bring another can out there. You know, I can fit a lot more and it has a lot more power to pack.
Yeah.
So definitely demolition machine's a ticket.
Yeah. And that's I think that's my favorite thing to watch so far.
Yeah, that's
I like
pretty
doing
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Zachary likes the demolitions.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Okay. Well, thank y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Have a good week.
Yes.
Oh, and it's now we're into June.
y'all.
Tomorrow's
Yeah.
June.
Ours,
Crazy.
June.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.